are the changes that we made in response to feedback. So, first of all, in response to a challenge from Michelle about what sort of number of categories we think is okay, and this also reflects what everybody said on the first weekend, we've added into our first bullet point that this is okay for a small number of categories. So a senior or person or group should authorise the level of data a staff member can access for a small number of categories, and we were happy with 3 to 5 categories. We've added in these safeguards, so we already had them, we've grouped the safeguards together, we've got background checks for any staff being given access. A few questions were raised about training. So we have amended that to say mandatory training on induction. So that covers anyone that just starts at a new organisation or is moving around quite often. We've also got it's repeated regularly. So we moved away from annual. We had quite a lot of debate about this, but also that it should be checked. So it should be checked to make sure that this training is being done. In additional safeguards, we added appraisals as a mechanism to check this. We already had some things in there for accountability. We've added to that a little bit, tightened up the language. So we're talking about deterrent penalties and sanctions for the individual and the organisation to make sure both of those are covered. We've also talked about the audit trail being reviewed regularly so that we make sure we're picking up people who are doing things they shouldn't. And finally, we've added an accountability clause there about having a mechanism to raise concerns, for example, a whistleblowing process. Helen.
So I'm going to pick up 2 components that we talked about. One was about a comment that came back about the number of organisations. Does this framework capture the number of organisations, particularly the different organisations that are part of social care? And what we came up for was that actually this is a component of the need-to-know basis, who needs to know this information, and also this component about somebody's authorising access to that data and according to which category. The final thing to say is that we did a show of hands at the end, and 3 people in our group didn't sign up to this. And there's various reasons, but in some areas the question about trust, about have we got too many conditions and should we be more trustful, or also about should we actually, what conditions can give us that level of trust.
That's us.
So I think that's us.
That's our summary. Thank you.